Hello, 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 my dear fans, my dear friends. I'm very happy to welcome you to this week's episode of my show. Today, we are very lucky to have a pleasure of speaking with three of the most respected scientists, most respected environmental activists that the country of Australia has ever seen, each of whom has their own very own issue to tackle. Very inspiring, very inspiring. To give you some background before we start our conversations today, I want to tell you about the Leave No Trace movement. Leave No Trace Australia movement is a non-profit movement that aims to inspire responsible travel and encourages individuals to leave natural areas as they have found them, leaving no trace behind. The ethics of the Leave No Trace movement are rooted in the idea of stewardship. It is our duty to protect and preserve the natural world for future generations. However, implementing Leave No Trace principles can present challenges. It requires a shift in the mindsets of individuals and communities accustomed to a more exploitative relationship with nature. We need to do better. The principle aligns closely with the broader concept of sustainability, which seeks to balance human needs with health of our planet's ecosystems. What is sustainability, you may ask me? I'm going to tell you right now. Sustainability is our society's ability to exist and develop without depleting all of the natural resources needed to live in the future. The concept of sustainability is built on the notion that natural resources on Earth are finite. So supporting sustainable practices helps to maintain them and not to destroy them. Also, another term I want you to be familiar with before we start our interview today is minimal impact. What is minimal impact? I will tell you right now. It is an impact that does not hurt human or natural environments with actions that minimize the amount of harm caused to the environment. An idea that actually goes hand in hand with the Leave No Trace movement. The Leave No Trace movement that originated in the US in 1960s now lives on in hearts of the most ambitious, the most respected, the most amazing people that this planet has ever seen. So enough of me, let's finally meet those people. And the first one is Sam. Alright guys, finally we're here with our first guest, Sam. He's a fish and conservation expert.
Thank you so much for
Very
having me
interesting.
out here today.
Very interesting.
I'm super excited to get going and to get started.
Thank you for coming, Sam. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
So, Sam, tell me, can you explain to me what is overfishing? Because I'm 5 years old.
Overfishing is basically the practice of extracting an amount of fish that exceeds what the ecosystem can handle. So, commercial fishing industries normally come in to an environment and they take out too much fish. It's simple as that.
Wow, so young and so well spoken. Okay, so Sam, I have a question for you. How can we better hold people accountable for breaking fishing laws and regulations around the Great Barrier Reef?
I think that we can hold people accountable by implementing more laws and also being more strict on how we enforce those laws. The Australian government is behind on schedule for implementing laws surrounding the Great Barrier Reef, but in the time that they have to catch up on, there's been great advancements in technology in the boats and vessels that they use to better govern and protect the barrier reef.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sam. That's a great answer. But I have another question for you.
All right.
What are some potential solutions to decrease fishing activity in the areas surrounding the Great Barrier Reef?
So there's actually different zones in the Great Barrier Reef that the Australian government is allowed to purchase from commercial fishing industries. So instead of this land that's underwater being used to extract fish and destroy the sea floor, the Australian government can actually purchase it and turn it into a conservation site to protect it even further.
Wow, thank you. I learned a lot right now. And last question, is the goal of fully eliminating fishing in those areas realistic?
It's tough to say, and especially as laws continue to be implemented, I personally have hope for it, but it requires a collective effort from the government, citizens, and commercial corporations as well, because we need to respect our environment and we need to understand that we play a pivotal role in how that environment can sustain itself and survive today and in the future for generations to come.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Yes. Thank
Thanks
you so
a lot.
much for
Thank
having
you.
me.
I appreciate you coming to this host show.
course.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to our next guest. Thank you, Sam. All right, we're here with our second guest, our very own genius, Derek. How are you? Good?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Derek knows a lot about microplastics, and now he's going to teach us about them. Derek, what are microplastics?
Microplastics are tiny pieces of plastic that take different forms. The first type of microplastic is going to be microbeads that are found in a variety of household products because of their smoother feel to more natural options. The second form is going to be larger pieces of plastic that break down over time until they've become so small that they can't even be seen anymore. But these plastics stay in the environment forever. The third type of microplastic is going to be microfibers, which is found in different types of fabric, such as like the polyester in our shirts, and it's often shed when being washed in the washing machine.
Very interesting. But you didn't tell me, what kind of problems microplastics pose?
Microplastics are filling up the ocean all over the globe. When the plastics get into the ocean, they absorb a range of hazardous different chemicals. Then marine life, in turn, is eating more and more of these microplastics as it's filling up more of the ocean, and that's then coming back into our own diet through things such as shellfish. So once in our body, this microplastic does damage to our cells and can cause a variety of different serious health issues.
Well, thank God I don't like shellfish. What do we do to stop microplastics from reaching the ocean?
The best way to stop microplastics from reaching the ocean is to prevent them from entering the environment in the first place. We can individually practice minimizing our impact by choosing natural products that don't include the microbeads, and avoid using single-use plastic products like plastic water bottles. But we need a more sustainable approach to minimizing this impact and a larger scale approach, and that would be to ban microbeads
Completely.
Completely.
Wow, very radical approach. Well, thanks a lot, Derek. I appreciate your time
Thanks for
today,
having me.
and I learned a lot about microplastic. On to the next guest. Okay, on to our last guest, the best for last, the most beautiful of all, Ronita. She knows a lot about coral bleaching. I don't know anything about that, so I hope she can teach me something about that. So, Ronita, tell me, what is coral bleaching?
Yeah, so basically, I would like to start by explaining the coral barriers, which are one of Australia's top attractions. They're located on the northeast side of Australia's coast, and they attract at least 2 million visitors per year. Now, corals are basically like a colonial group of animals that coexist with zooxanthellae, which is a group of algae, and is what gives them their bright colors. Now, despite their beauty, unfortunately, they're experiencing coral bleaching. That's a phenomenon which basically means that when is a stress response from the corals, and it makes them expel the algae, which is their main source of food. So it's important to note that coral bleaching does not mean that the coral is dying. However, without their main source of food for a longer period of time, the coral will gradually continue to die. So it's important to note that climate change has a lot to do with it, because coral bleaching is caused by an increase in radiation and an increase in water temperatures. And if we have like an increase in temperatures by 1 degree in Celsius for 4 weeks, that is enough to trigger coral bleaching. So yeah.
Wow, that is devastating. What are some of the scientific world's contributions that are done to solve this or prevent this?
Basically, like, scientists are trying to locate the areas with the most heat-resistant corals. They want to pick up some samples and put them in a case study test, put them in an aquarium, expose them to a heat test by increasing the lighting and the temperature, and analyzing their response. So basically, it's important to see whether this increase in temperature will cause the bleaching, and if yes, at what temperatures. And by doing so, they want to extract like their DNAs and the algae, and like understand that certain type of behavior. So yeah.
Wow, that is very interesting. I learned a lot. Thank you so much, Ronita. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope you guys learned a lot too. remember, Blue Mountains, be very reasonable, leave minimal impact, and enjoy the trip. But I hope we taught you something about issues and ethics in the environment. See you next week at our next episode.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming. Bye, guys.